The student and the teacher. Which one are you? Actually, we're both, which is a good thing. You know, if we were to look at everyone who ever came into our life, no matter how they treated us, good or bad, we might look at them as a teacher who taught us many things. They taught us about human behavior, theirs, good or bad, and they taught us about ourselves. You know, in all relationships, we are a student, yet we are also a teacher too. Let me explain. Why is it important for us to think of the other person as our teacher first? Because we want to learn. Fact, if we don't learn from our dating history, we're apt to repeat it, right? So imagine, think back to all those who came into your life and picture them as your teacher. What did you learn from them? What lessons did you take away? What behaviors, statements, actions, or a lack thereof of yours can you learn from? I'd make note of all the things you learned looking back so you'd never let them happen again to you. What did you learn that could enhance your life going forward? Make note of everything learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, think about what happened. What went wrong? As a student, in all your relationships, what did you learn that you will seek after more of, if it was good, and try to prevent it from ever happening again to you if it was bad? Make note, and don't let it happen or make it happen again in your future. You know, as the teacher in a relationship, both parties must bring something to the table in order to maintain their stay at the table. Relationships cannot be one-sided. It takes two to tango, remember? So, one key attribute to bring into a relationship is your ability to share knowledge, experiences, positive behaviors, care, and so forth. We as humans thrive on growing, learning, enhancing, and expanding our awareness, knowledge, and how we live our lives for the better. Self-improvement is the name of the game when it comes to growing personally and even in a relationship. Imagine you bring a lot to the table, whether that's knowledge, experience, or fill in the blank. The other party in your relationship benefits from your contribution to the relationship, but they benefit personally as well. The more teachable moments you have in the relationship, the stronger a bond can develop between you both. I've been in my own relationships where I brought a lot of business and personal development and relationship knowledge to the table. Throughout that relationship, the gal I dated benefited greatly. She grew, she learned, and from time to time, we'd talk and she'd say, "Bart, remember when you told me X and I didn't believe you? Well, the other day, I ran into a situation where X happened and I was able to handle it properly because you showed me how. I remember you telling me a story about, and it stuck with me. Thank you, teacher. I'm able to better handle X when the situation arises. I learned a lot from just observing you in our relationship. I see how you interact with people, how you talk to them, how you make them feel good. I started doing that in my own life. It kind of rubbed off on me." Well, don't think that the learning was all one-sided. I remember learning quite a bit from those I was in relationships with. What I learned, I either looked for in the next relationship that I was in or within myself in how I interacted with the gal that I was dating at the time. Teachable moments are not always business or other related. They could be in the way you talk to the other person in your relationship or how they talk to you. It could be in how either of you act or react to certain situations or events while dating or married to that other someone. Both of you are always watching, observing, and learning from each other. You are the teacher and they are the student in some situations, and then the roles reverse for other situations. In either case, you're both observing each other's behaviors, your speech, your tone, whether good or bad. Looking back, how did you behave in certain instances? Did you keep your cool? Did they? Did they lose it? Did you lose it? Did anyone throw a bottle of red wine against the wall? Or specifically, how did you treat the other person? How were you treated? Now, you're back to being the student. Good, bad, not so good. Make note and vow never to repeat your bad actions and allow someone else's poor behavior to be tolerated either. I'll say this. If, as a student, you observe that you are not being treated right, spoken to with disrespect, or not cared for in the ways couples in love should care for one another, then you might consider exiting stage left and leaving this relationship pronto. I talk about this later in the book, but I like to give people 3 strikes and then 2 more. And then to the doghouse they go. 5 strikes total, and they're out for good. This way I can say, I gave you 3 chances to do good, or I would leave the relationship. But then I offered you 2 more to see if you really wanted to work on XYZ problem. I can see you haven't changed. You don't want to change. And the only one who can change in this relationship is me. And I'm out. Bye. I'm not paid to be your therapist. And maybe you've got problems that I just don't want to deal with in a relationship where I want love. I want romance. I want harmony. I want good times throughout. I've been very good to you, and you know it. You've got issues, though, whether emotional, substance abuse, or whatever. And I can't help you. You need professional help. Hey, I wish you the best. Seriously, I wish you the best. Seriously, I'm out of there. And so should you be. In this case, I was the student, and I learned what I would not put up with, even after offering all my assistance, support, time, love, encouragement. And then I was the teacher. I taught the other person what I would not tolerate after a certain period of time or a number of attempts to help. Hopefully, my leaving taught them to get help on their own. Some people need to be left alone to look inwards and fix what ails them. It's not your job. Going forward, wearing both hats, one of the student and the teacher, my relationships had a better chance at improving with every new connection. Not always, but you get the idea. I'm better able to look out for things, or I won't beat myself up if, as the student, I learned more about myself and not how to behave or what not to say to upset the other party in the relationship. Wow, there's just so much to learn. In some cases, you might be the one who's getting the boot instead of looking at the glass as half empty because somebody chooses to break up with you or file for divorce, etc. How about looking at this breakup from a student's point of view, such as the glass is half full, and assess what you can learn? What can you take away from having spent time in this relationship? If you're on your way out and have no control or influence on staying together, start looking at all the good things you learned and can take away from your involvement with this person. I know I had to let someone go in my life for whatever reason it was, and vice versa, or they let me go. In all cases, I always said to myself, as a student, what did I learn from being in a relationship with this woman? What can I take away lesson-wise? I think when you can look at your past relationships, good or bad, from a student perspective, it can also take away some of the sting or stigma related to those relationships that didn't work out. Yeah, I'm hurt. A relationship is ending, but what can I take away from my dating or being married to this person? I want to learn and grow. It's a part of life. Does that make sense? Choose to learn and grow. Choose not to sulk or feel bad for too long. Sure, feel bad for a few moments, minutes, weeks, months, but get over it as soon as you can. Assess, learn, think positively, and get ready for the someone else who's just about to walk right into your life, who's a much better fit to serve your heart's needs. You know, one of the best things we can do when we exit any relationship is to look at those episodes in our life as learning experiences. Fact. I bet you didn't know it all. All relationships end at some point in time. All of them. Some last longer than others. Some not so long. Some last a day, a week, a month, 90 days, 6 months, a year, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, or 10 years plus. For some odd reason, all relationships end. Whether it's due to bad behavior, death, health problems, boredom, you name it. The trick is to maintain your own positive attitude with life. Take on the attitude that you are always a happy, upbeat person and no one will ever be able to get you down. Or there's the door. That said, knowing you are forever a student and a teacher in all relationships, you know you are worthy of love and have the potential to find love and be loved. It's only a matter of who you encounter, where you meet them, the type of person they are, how prepared they are to want love and romance in their life, just like you, that determines if that someone will stick around for a week, a month, 90 days, 6 months or longer. Knowing all these facts, it's to your advantage emotionally, mentally, and where your heart's concerned, to know and believe deep, 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 deep down that we all have the potential to find love, to love, and be loved.